I am good. How are you?
I am really quite well.
Welcome to the show. That is such a clean-cut picture of you on your Skype profile.
Am I wearing pants in it?
Who? Probably not, but I can't see that.
Oh, okay. That is a clean-cut picture of me. That's like old school.
That's probably like just before you got sentenced.
Yeah, it is. It is.
That's like, I got to go see a judge kind of a look for you.
Yeah. It's, it's better than like what I'm doing right now, which is wearing my old ripped up flannel I've had since college that's missing buttons and like no shirt and pants that are missing a button. And
yeah, that's how I always picture you.
Exactly. Or in a cow costume, one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Oh, no, don't open that. Force quit. Okay. Sorry. I was going to try to change it to a cow picture, but
it's all audio, so it doesn't really it doesn't matter all that much. How are things in Austin?
Good, man. How are things in Arizona?
Nice, warm, beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah,
I got the patio door open, so who knows? There'll probably be fire trucks and police cars going by at some point. Dogs will be barking at something.
Yeah. Well, that's how it's supposed to work. So I'm trying to figure out how to record. I can record me, but if I'm supposed to record both of us, we're going to both try to control.
I'm already recording.
Oh, well, then
I started the podcast without you.
Really?
Yeah, we're going.
Was it a great opening?
No, we're going. It started when you answered.
Oh, that's so like what podcasts do. And now I'm supposed to go, wait, we started already? It's that's what I'm supposed to, I'm supposed to be all surprised and stuff. Okay, well, good. I'm glad you're
we're rolling. This is it.
This is it. This is
I don't
beautiful.
believe in show prep.
No, show prep is ridiculous. Show prep is for professionals.
And we're certainly not getting paid for this, so.
Wait, we're not?
Not a chance. I can't picture that at all.
But how do people get their matchmaker fees and stuff? Somebody.
Oh, they can still get their percentages.
Okay.
They get 9%, 10% of zero is zero.
Right. I like the math. I find percentages of zero to be extremely easy.
And if people want to fill out paperwork on that, that's their business.
I agree. Percentages on 100 are also easy.
Mm-hmm.
0 and 100.
You want to know my trick for tipping 20%?
Do you just double the tax, the sales tax?
No, I hadn't thought of that. What's the sales? I don't know what the sales tax rate is. So
yeah. Well, it doesn't always work. I mean, where I am, it's 8.25. Right?
Yeah, I double the bill and move the decimal point back.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to see. Does that work? Like,
if the check is $10, you double the bill. That's $20, right. And you move the decimal point back over, and that's $2, which is 20% of 10.
Right. So let's do it because the math there is easy. What if it's like a $30 bill? So
double it.
Right, 60, and you're right. That's great. Of course, 20%. Yeah, twice 10%. That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and it's the 2 and then the decimal point.
Do you always tip 10% or 20%? People must love you when you come to the restaurant. Here comes 10% Dave.
I pretty steadily tip 20%.
Okay.
Unless it's one of those places where I have to go up to the counter to order, and then I have to go back up to the counter to get my food, and they print out a little thing that's got a place for a tip. Not so much.
I hate that. I hate it when the tip's already there.
No, this isn't what like they print out a little thing that has a blank for the tip, but it's a self-serve place.
Oh, self-serve, right. It's like tipping at a buffet, but I feel obligated. I feel like I'm supposed to tip everybody.
They're doing that. I think they're doing that to make you feel obligated. But I think tipping is for wait service. I could be wrong. I've never heard anybody refute that.
Do you ever go out of your way?
I don't think people running the cash register at a. And I'm not talking about a buffet either. Like, at a buffet, you've at least got a waiter coming around and filling your water glass.
Sure, and cleaning up after you.
I'm talking about some place where you stand in a line, you place your order at a cash register, and then they either call out your. I mean, even if they carry your food to your table because you've got a number sitting on your table.
Yeah.
If they have a place for a tip on the charge slip, I probably am not going to tip them.
I sometimes use cash because I don't want to deal with the place for the tip.
Gotcha. Why are we talking about this?
Well, because it came up. Listen, as long as we can call this our Just the Tip segment. Just the Tip.
Just the Tip.
Which would have been good when we were trying to come up with a name and we came up with pull my finger. Listen, let me ask you
Archer's probably got that trademarked. I don't know.
Let me ask you this. Okay, so you're traveling and you've got luggage.
Uh-huh.
And you have to take a shuttle, and the shuttle driver insists on helping you with your bags. You probably don't run into this because you're usually just going to travel with one bag plus maybe a carry-on.
Yeah, they see me coming.
Yeah, but with kids and stuff, it's like with little ones. You've always, if you're traveling with the family, you get tons of bags.
Yeah.
There's just no way you can hustle fast enough to get the bags on the shuttle. They're going to help you. So do you go with the buck a bag approach?
Well, if your kids are packed in little like Batman bags, I don't know. I'd probably go with a couple bucks.
Yeah.
For a shuttle driver. I think, if somebody's taking your bags to your room, the standard, I think, is a buck a bag.
Okay.
I could be outdated on that, too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and...
Because I rarely go to a place where somebody's going to take my bag to my room.
Yeah, no, me too.
I had a client put me up at the Montage in Beverly Hills one time.
Wow, what was that like?
Oh, it was amazing. And it was like, they wouldn't let you carry a bag through their front door.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you try? Did you get into
the guy's like, no, we got this. And it was a beautiful experience because you walk in, and that hotel, I mean, it's an amazing hotel. It's fairly new. I think it was brand new when I stayed there. But when you walk up to registration, the woman behind the registration desk came out from behind the desk, shook my hand. Hello, Mr. Young. We've been expecting you. I'm like, how the heck? How would they know?
They hacked into your Facebook profile.
Right. And the client was paying for it, so I didn't have to pay. And so they checked me in, got the key, and then she's like, let me show you to your room. I'm like, wait, what? You're not going to just tell me, go down, take a left, push the elevator button?
Yeah.
No, she left the front desk and walked me to my room.
Wow.
And then went through all the details of the room. Like she showed that hotel, you can lay in bed and turn off every light in the room from a switch right at your head.
Oh my gosh.
And you can open the drapes or close them.
From your bed.
From your bed. With a bank of switches on the wall just next to where you lay your head down.
So the hotel lady demonstrated this for you?
Yeah, she took me. Meanwhile, while she's showing this all the tricks of the room to me, the bellhop brings my bag, and I think I gave him a couple bucks. And it was a great room. The hotel is decorated with original art from Hollywood costume designers.
Oh, wow. Now that's cool.
All the sketches that they do, this was Audrey Hepburn's outfit for My Fair Lady. That was on the wall of my room.
Wow.
And a bunch of others, it's just, you think of all the movies and all the sketches that have been done for costumes. It had a TV in the bathtub.
Now, wait. Let me ask you a question because I like to when I stay at the hotels, I like to collect the little shampoos and soaps. Could you help yourself to the wall art?
No, they didn't let you do that, but they did have somebody that would come in and shampoo your hair.
Was there a channel 69?
I don't think I turned the TV on there, Adam.
No, wow. Yeah, I don't watch as much TV as I used to in the hotels I stay at because I got a laptop.
I kind of make it a challenge to myself to not turn the TV on the whole time I'm there, which is kind of cool.
All right. So that's a general policy. But now, when we were at the Artisan in Vegas...
Well, that's a different story.
Yeah.
That hotel, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there was a whole channel dedicated to porn, and it wasn't a pay channel.
It was kind of old school hotel porn.
Oh, it was really kind of gross.
No, but I mean, it used to, like back in the days before they figured out that they could charge your room. This probably predates you, Adam, but
yeah, I think it does. But I'm intrigued.
Like I've stayed in hotels back in the '80s where it's like, yeah, that was that. There's that channel.
Wow, there was a whole channel. It's almost.
And it might have just been the caliber of hotels I was staying at.
It's almost like if you could go to like a website and just watch adult film and not pay anything.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess you can do that.
Now, I was actually at a hotel in Brooklyn 7 or 8 years ago that was, not a private, no name brand kind of place, and it was close to where it was. I was actually there.
Future Now, were you there?
Future Now, yeah, with the Eisenbergs, and they told me, there's this place just it's only about 8 blocks from our offices, and it's not awful.
Sure.
Otherwise, you stay in Manhattan and spend $300 a night back then.
Yeah.
And so I stayed at this place, and they had a porn channel, but it wasn't like on the list. And some of the time it worked, and some of the time it didn't. And I finally figured out if you walk down to the lobby, the guy behind the counter, if he's watching it, then it's available in your room.
That's intimate. Like if you turn it on and you're like
it wasn't like
what's going on.
Yeah, like he's somehow when whatever he's watching in the lobby was going through this one particular channel.
So it was on for like 5-minute stretches.
Kind of creepy, yeah.
Yeah. And you didn't want to shake this guy's hand. You didn't want him coming out from behind the counter and offering to show you to your room.
No,
after he's
well, you behind the counter, come out from his cage.
Take the bit.
It was that kind of hotel as opposed to the other one.
Oh God! Wow.
What's the coolest place you've ever stayed?
Oh, okay. Boy, that's a great question. I've got different places kind of running through my head right now, but when I was, this goes back quite a bit. But when I was 12, we'd been living overseas for a year. My family lived in New Zealand for a year, and coming back, we stopped in Honolulu. This was back when the planes would have to refuel, and I guess they'd made an error with our reservation, and they wound up putting us in like the penthouse. Nice. In downtown Honolulu, and it was some kind of high-end hotel. It was like a Hilton or something. So I remember that as a kid. Now, as a grown-up, my personal favorite, but this wasn't cool for being high-end or classy. It was just so kitschy. It was clean. It was called the Aloha Motel. My wife and I stopped there, and we have excellent associations with that hotel. We stayed there a second time, and it was really cheesy, and all kinds of Hawaii art on the wall. So I don't know. There must be some. Maybe it was because I'm
picturing all of the maids wearing grass skirts and coconut tops.
Pretty much, and this was in Pennsylvania. It just like near Susquehanna. And
are you serious?
Yeah, and it was so bizarre. I mean, if we hadn't gone
I thought you were talking about Hawaii.
No. The first time was Hawaii when I was a kid.
But this is a Hawaii-themed place in Pennsylvania.
In Pennsylvania, it wasn't a chain. You know, there aren't a chain of Aloha motels. Yeah, I know you're shocked. And but I still remember that place fondly. I can't imagine it still exists, although with the internet I could probably find out. But yeah, I like that place. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, when I was still in college, my dad organized a family trip to New York City. It was the first time I'd ever been to New York. And so I had two younger sisters. They were still in high school, and then a college-age sister and myself and my mom and dad. And somehow, I imagine he traded the rooms. We were in the radio business, and so you used to be able to do that quite a bit, where you could find a hotel chain and get them to give you free rooms in exchange for advertising.
Okay, sure.
And so we stayed at the Waldorf Astoria.
Oh.
Which was really cool. I mean, a really nice, obviously nice hotel and a great reputation and all of that. But our room, you open the drapes and look straight out into a brick wall. About 10 feet away. Another wing of the hotel and more rooms on that side. So it probably wasn't the best room they had, obviously, but a cool place. And that was in the 80s as well, back when Times Square was still, just a seedy, dark place.
Yeah.
And I remember we went to a show. I don't remember what we went to.
Well, but back then,
what's the song "One" from?
Chorus Line.
Yeah, I think we saw a Chorus Line.
Yeah. Marvin Hamlish wrote that score.
And so the coolest. I mean, one of the weirdest cool parts of the trip is we were walking out of the elevator at the Waldorf Astoria, and the guy waiting to get into the elevator was Jacques Cousteau.
Oh, wow.
And we all just kind of stared at him, and he got in the elevator and left. We didn't say a thing, but it was like, and then my sisters and I all looked at each other. That was Jacques Cousteau. I mean, that was when, we grew up watching his specials. So, not hard to recognize that guy.
Do you regret not saying anything?
It happened so quickly. No, I've seen celebrities, and I'm just not the guy to bother them.
Yeah, the older I get, the more I feel that way. I think when I was younger, I used to be a little bit more enamored by people. But as I get older, I think, wow, these are just real people.
I mean, I ran into Quentin Tarantino in Austin one time.
I think everybody has, but me. But you're not my only friend who's had a Quentin Tarantino.
And it was kind of embarrassing because he recognized me, but I was.
Mr. Pink.
Well, it's because I had auditioned for the part of Winston Wolfe in Pulp Fiction.
But then you turned down the role when he offered it to you, and he had to give it to Harvey Keitel.
I said Harvey's the guy. I bowed out.
Did he take your advice right away?
Yeah, yeah.
Did it take some twisting?
He was convinced that I was the guy for the part, and I'm like, no, Harvey looks better in a tux.
That's true. I mean, no disrespect, he does. But to be fair, if I need to get a situation cleaned, if I have a couple of bodies
sure,
I need to get rid of, I'm not calling Keitel. I'm calling David Young.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I've called you before, and so far, it's remained a secret.
And I know we said we don't do a lot of show prep, but it's probably one of the things we shouldn't talk about.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, see, that's why I call you, because
See, I don't want to go back to prison.
Right. Prison. I noticed when you and I were talking about cool hotels we've stayed at, prison didn't come up. Let's talk about Caesar's Palace. Okay, because we both got to stay there when Ray invited us to come out and help present to the people in the HVAC industry for that big show. I got to tell you, Caesar's Palace, beautiful, impressive. A place I would have loved to stay at, but would have been too cheap to stay at. Great experience. But I kept thinking the whole time I was there, I would not want to be here with my family. Because if you took something off one of those scales, you would have to mortgage your house. I mean,
I know it.
It's scary. The food and everything is, and the
And
cost
you're talking about the in-room little snack bar thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not like it's behind a door either. I mean, they're sort of out.
Yeah,
you know?
and the little stand that they put it on nose as soon as you pick up a package of M&Ms.
Yeah, yeah. And
boom, $5 added to your bill.
I like to eat. I mean, if I was that place, I would put out a little frying pan of bacon just sizzling, because who could pass that up? Well, I'd pass it up, but you wouldn't.
When I've checked into hotels like that, and actually sometimes not even with the kids, but because they set that out and it takes up all the space on top of a dresser.
Yeah.
And so I've asked the bellman to just remove it.
Oh, that's a good idea. But then you got to tip the bellman.
Well, or housekeeping or whoever, you just call the front desk and say, "Hey, look, I don't even want this in here."
That's a great idea.
And they'll come get it. They'll grumble a little bit.
Yeah, because didn't their daughter move something? They didn't eat it?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And they got billed for $40 or something ridiculous
crazy
for a small thing of candy.
It's crazy. And then they have their little in-room fridge filled with all the stuff they want to charge you for, and they'll charge you if you put your stuff in it.
I heard that. That's terrible.
Craig likes to have. He drinks tea all the time.
Okay,
and he likes milk with his tea. And so, in order for him to have milk with his tea, he'd have to go buy milk and
keep it refrigerated.
Yeah. No, they won't let him do that. Every hotel I've ever stayed in Australia, and I've been there 5 times.
Wow.
Every hotel I've ever stayed at has a little, those electric water kettles.
Yeah.
That you just flip a switch and they heat water to boiling and then shut off.
Right.
Every room I've ever stayed at has one of those, a selection of tea bags, and a little carton of milk in an in-room fridge.
That's pretty remarkable.
Every one of them. It's just like that's standard equipment for a hotel in Australia because they drink tea so much.
Right. Well, afternoon
because they're
tea,
British.
Evening tea. yeah, they're British. Hey, watch it, buddy.
And they'll punch you for saying that.
That was the worst Australian accent I've ever done. And I've done some pretty bad Australian accents.
It's a joke from House. Do you remember? You've watched House, right? House
yeah. He'd call him British all the time, and the character was Australian.
He's Australian, and House's response would be, "Is the Queen on your money?"
Yep.
Then you're British. There's no more arguing about it.
I loved House. I thought that was an enjoyable show, but I found myself thinking I would not want him as a doctor. Not because he was crotchety and cranky. I mean, I found that to be entirely just extremely entertaining. But once you saw the formula, and every once in a while they would they would mess with it and surprise you. But typically, at about the 20-minute mark, you lose an organ, because they've got 2 or 3 things wrong. At the 40-minute mark, you die, and usually they bring you back. And then by the end, they've got you all fixed, but you've got a new liver. You've got it. It never went well for the patient. And
wasn't it like just about every time one of the people on the team is diagnosing lupus?
Yeah. And Graves' disease.
And is that like a running joke in the series?
It felt like the writers had some kind of inside joke. We're always going to give people lupus. I found myself to think, you do not want to be a patient on that show. That could be a bad situation for you. Mm-hmm. I know it was supposed to be Sherlock Holmes, and I can buy that, and I understand Holmes and House, and Sherlock was a drug addict, and he
Watson
was also
and
cranky.
Wilson and
exactly, But so I get that, and I agree that it makes sense, but I mean Sherlock didn't get things wrong that much generally, right? I mean he didn't.
Yeah, have you watched the new Sherlock Holmes?
Oh my gosh, yes. Now people either love it or hate it. More people love it than hate it, but I
I mean, what I've seen is not so much that they love it or hate it as they love or hate Cumberbatch.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, but if you hate Cumberbatch, you can't love the series,
right?
Well, I think he's amazing.
I think he's really good.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's nothing to argue there. I mean, we both love it. What about?
Why do you think people hate him?
Because he's just so good looking.
Is it? Well, but he isn't.
No, he's kind of a funny looking dude.
He is kind of funny looking. He almost looks like an alien.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why they hate it. I think he's sort of the perfect Sherlock Holmes. I think that the cast is right. You know, Watson is just incredible. I forget his name. I know he's like this big film actor, and he's in The Hobbit and everything.
He's The Hobbit.
But I can't remember his name. Not a slight on him, more a problem with my memory.
I've heard his name, but I've never committed it to memory either.
Yeah, but I love him. I love him in the series. It's a well cast show. I don't know what their deal with him is. But I don't know. Maybe he's like the Michael Bolton of actors. You know, you either love him or you hate him. I couldn't stand Michael Bolton. Although now in his older years, I kind of like him because he makes fun of himself on Saturday Night Live. So
and commercials and different things. Yeah.
What about the other PBS shows, man? As long as we're going to talk about PBS.
Have you seen Selfridge?
I have not.
That's worth watching. You know, and I don't want to make this show about marketing and advertising, but that's actually worth watching from the perspective of an ad consultant.
All right. Why? Why?
Well, because Harry Selfridge changed the face of retail, especially in Britain. Absolutely turned it on its head. And there's actually a great documentary on PBS about Selfridge that is worth watching before you dig into the series.
All right, I'll check it out. I will.
It just talks about some of the innovations that he made. Before Selfridge's department store in London, the shopping experience in Britain was, let's say you're a gentleman and you go into a place that sells socks. None of the merchandise would be out where you can see it or touch it. You would have to explain to the person behind the counter that you were there for some socks and tell them exactly what you want, and they would go get them.
Wow.
And you'd be expected to buy them. There was no shopping. Like, you couldn't walk in and say, yeah, I'd like to see what kind of socks you have. Like, we don't have time for that, Adam. Do you want socks or do you not want socks? If you don't want socks, get out. If you want socks, tell us what you want and we'll sell them to you. That was it.
Wow.
So the same with anything else. You know, if you wanted a coat, that you went to a coat shop and told them what you want, there was no comparison. There was nothing like that. And so he put everything out where people could touch it and feel it and compare it. And so that's just one of the things. And the store was, huge.
And he was really the first to do that?
To do it in England, yeah.
Wow.
Because he came from the, what's the big chain that started in Chicago or Minneapolis? One of those, May or Marshalls?
Marshalls, maybe, yeah,
something like that.
Did Marshalls come out of Chicago? It doesn't matter.
It's one of those big old American retailers. Not Macy's, but something like that in Chicago.
I love how you said Marshalls, and then I said Marshalls, maybe.
Marshalls, maybe.
Like it had just come to me.
It might be. Now I'm standing here at my computer. I could easily Google it and find out, but I don't care.
As soon as you said not Macy's, I was tempted to say, well, it wasn't Macy's.
No. Thank you for confirming that.
I just want to say things after you say them, and I want to say it with absolute authority.
And so the other thing is Selfridge is, he's American in London, and it's, now what's that actor's name? Played Ari on Entourage.
Ari Flesher. Let's hug it out, bitch.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I can totally...
Jeremy Piven.
Piven. Okay.
Piven.
I think it was Jeremy Piven, David.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that. Thanks for helping me with that.
Definitely not Jeremy Irons. I didn't need you to say that first.
So let's play Who's Your Favorite Jeremy Actor?
I have to go with Jeremy Piven because that's all I can think about right now.
You thought about Jeremy Irons.
I'd have to go with Jeremy Irons over Jeremy.
What other Jeremy is there?
Jeremy spoke in class today. That's all I got right now. I know there are other Jeremys.
Probably so.
But now I'm thinking about, Pearl Jam, and I'm way beyond Jeremy's. Do you have a favorite Jeremy actor?
No.
Would you?
I'll go with Piven.
All right, over Irons.
Jeremy Irons. I'm trying to even think. Jeremy Irons.
He's done a lot of stuff, but
he's not the My Left Foot guy.
No, that's Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, they look sort of the same though, don't they?
Yeah. Both are devastatingly handsome. I don't know what Daniel Day-Lewis looks like. He's one of those actors who can sort of meld into all these different roles. I think he's brilliant, and he can change his voice, he can change his dialects, he can change his look. And I honestly believe, I think I heard him interviewed on a podcast, and I remember thinking that's what he sounds like. So I don't know. So yes, they do look alike, but that's only because Daniel Day-Lewis can look like him. They may even be the same person.
It's a good possibility of that.
I just blew your mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. As long as it was your mind. I was thinking about podcasts, and as you and I were like, let's have a podcast and we'll just chat and chew the fat and just talk. And it occurred to me that I don't know if there's a podcast on podcasts, and I don't want to be a podcast on podcasts, but I thought that would be funny. Just talking about the new episode of WTF.
I'm sure that somebody's doing that.
Yeah.
I think the better choice, if we were going to head that direction, would be to be the podcast about podcasts on podcasts.
Wow.
If there's people out there doing podcasts that talk about other podcasts, we're the ones that review them.
Yeah. It'd be like talking about The Talking Dead,
Mm-hmm.
I think a show that talks about shows, to talk about that show would be great. And you could bring in people from that talking about that show. You could bring people on.
I had never really ever watched one of those shows.
Oh, I watch them.
Till the other night. I happened to watch, what is the Naked Survivor? It's on the Discover Channel. Does
it star Jeremy Piven?
No.
Or is it Priven?
It's just two people that volunteered to they take a man and a woman and that have applied for the show and have some kind of survival skills.
Uh-huh.
And they just drop them off in the wilderness somewhere with a camera crew and make them strip down.
Wow.
They each get to take one item with them. She had a knife and he had a thing to start fires.
Okay. Well, they sound smart.
And they weren't they didn't even know each other before this.
Well, you really would get to know somebody if you're on an island with them naked.
These people were in Madagascar, and it was weird. But the best part of the show was after the show, they did the after show.
Okay. Yeah, I like the after shows.
And they had them on, and that was probably more fun than, following around, as they're being idiots trying to eat snakes and stuff.
I mean, the Walking Dead is such an
I want to go down this road just a little bit farther because this guy was an idiot.
Okay.
The episode I saw, a guy from Utah or Idaho and a woman from Arizona. And so they're naked in Madagascar but he promised his wife. He's married.
Okay.
First of all,
and he's from Utah, so he's probably Mormon.
He is Mormon.
Okay.
But first of all, why would he go do this?
It seems like it would conflict with, his
family values. Yeah,
his family values. That aspect of his.
And so he was stopping. He was stopping and praying, half a dozen times throughout the show. And one of the conditions that he gave his wife when he signed up for the show was that, and they're out there. They're out in the wilderness for 21 days.
Okay.
And he promised his wife that, no matter how cold it got, there would be no cuddling or snuggling.
I don't mean to be judgy, but no, I do mean to be judgy. That's stupid.
It is.
Body heat. I saw that on an episode of MASH with Hawkeye and Hot Lips Houlihan. And, they were bitter enemies, but, they had to snuggle to stay alive.
Exactly.
I mean, Han Solo had to cut open that tauntaun and put his friend Luke inside to snuggle it from the inside.
Yeah, so here these two people are, freezing in a little cave. Now, honestly, I don't believe they didn't snuggle.
Really? I mean,
I don't believe it. They had their own, like when the camera crews leave at night, they each had their own little, night vision camera so they could record stuff at night.
Yeah.
And so they made a big deal out of the first night was so cold and he didn't snuggle with her because of his promise to his wife. And on the after show, they said they never snuggled, but I don't buy it.
I didn't believe
by the end of 21 days.
Yeah.
By the end of 21 days, she's got they had killed a couple snakes, so she's got snake skin, and she's making him a thong to wear. All right, but she had to measure to know how big to make it.
It sounds a little bit ridiculous.
It was. I probably won't watch it again. It was. I sat down in a chair. I had a meal with me and turned the TV on, and there it was. I watch very little TV otherwise.
Even on. Well, no. I want to come back to this. I didn't believe you could be correct about this because I thought, they're going to show it. If they had a snuggle moment, they're going to show it on the show. But your point is the camera people leave.
The camera people leave at night. They probably go to their tents.
The camera people, the boom operator, do they give them like beef jerky, and like bananas?
Don't you wonder? I mean, I don't know.
That would mess with my head if I'm naked.
If you read about their show on Wikipedia, the basic rule is the camera crew, the producer will only intervene if it's an absolute emergency.
Gotcha.
But she was about dehydrated to death within 2 weeks.
Wow. What do they get for surviving? Do they get something?
I don't think there's a prize. I couldn't tell. I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. And it seemed like I also don't know what a season of that show entails because it seems like, and maybe I watched 2 or 3 episodes at once or in a row or something like that, but I don't think I did. I think it was just one episode of these people out for 21 days and their ordeal. And that the next week it's going to be, a different couple in 21 days.
You must have multiple crews because that's a huge production schedule.
Yeah, probably. I would guess it would be pretty easy to shoot that show with multiple crews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of footage to edit together too into a compelling hour or whatever, 21 days.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think they, half of it was, I don't know. I don't buy most reality shows as being objective reality.
No, I mean it's scripted, it's manipulated. Yeah. I think a lot of people have done tell-alls now and say, they're encouraged to say and do certain things, and just the way you edit the scenes together tells the story you want to tell.
We need a shot of them killing a snake, which we happen to bring.
Yeah, we brought the snake. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the reality television thing, unless I know somebody who's going to be on the series, and then I'll watch and kind of get engrossed because I want to see my friend. Like I had a friend on Nashville Star and another friend on The Voice, and that I knew from Austin, and I wanted to see him do well. And so I got engrossed in those shows. And then every once in a while you'll stumble on one and there'll be a marathon. And I 10 years ago, I don't even remember what show, but my wife and I watched something stupid, and we knew it was stupid, and we had a good time. I did like, though, the Joe Schmo show. Did you ever watch the Joe Schmo show?
The Joe Schmo show?
It was Spike TV. I think it's Spike TV, not the world's strongest network. But and the whole premise was they had actors, and and then one contestant. And, they had meetings and script meetings, and the actors had to play characters and do certain things.
Oh, it was a big joke on the one guy.
Yeah. Season 1 was one person. Season 2 was a couple, but the woman figured it out. It was like a romantic theme show.
The first show is like they had the guy crying.
Yeah.
I remember. I did see some of the first season of that.
It was extremely, extremely compelling. And
the actors were feeling really bad about it.
Yeah. A couple of years ago or a year ago, they did a third season of it. They brought it back. And it was like the contestants were trying to become, a bounty hunter or whatever. And the cast of characters, the actors playing the characters always changed. But what's his name from Kevin Smith's World, from Hollywood Babylon, is the not Kevin Smith, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, he's always the host, and he's like a chameleon. He's like a comedic Daniel Day-Lewis. He can play all these different roles and do all these different voices, and he always becomes these. I thought it was great fun, and I found that to be really interesting. Because they acknowledge they're manipulating the situation, Mm-hmm. And they're sort of making fun of the reality TV genre.
Have you ever been in a reality TV show?
Unless my life is one, and I just don't know it. No, I have not.
Tell me, Truman.
Yeah, that's basically what it was the Truman Show. How about you? Have you ever done reality?
No. Just put cameras around your house.
Yeah, well, that's a great idea. Listen, I did.
What are they, who was it that said?
No, I did. I lived my
Walden?
life.
Who's the guy that said something about living in I can't even remember the word.
When I moved to Austin, all right, I moved to Austin to work with a guy, and we were going to be in a band together, and we did. We started a band called Cranky Pants. We were pretty cutting edge, so we spelled cranky with a K.
Oh, yeah.
And, we were like a Flight of the Conchords, a less successful Flight of the Conchords. We were a duo that did silly songs. We had a regular gig. We used to pack the place every week. And then we got to a place where we were getting paid to play regularly. We'd play till 2 a.m. at one place. Then we'd go over to Ruta Maya when it was on Congress, and we'd play from 2 to 4. And we were getting paid to play, which in Austin's a big deal because you can play for free. There's so many venues, but get paid to play and not just cut of the door was a trick. So we were doing okay. But our band dissolved. It kind of exploded. But he earned his living back in, this was in, I want to say 1999. He was living his life on camera. He and his girlfriend, they were getting paid from a company, and then they left that company and they started their own website. And, they did the Ricky Lake show, and they did a bunch of talk shows about it because this was back before webcam living, webcam sex shows were mainstream. And I don't know if they're mainstream now, but they're pretty darn common. The technology was pretty slow at that time, and not everybody had, people had dial-up modems at that time still. Not everybody, but some people did. And, I stayed at his place. I lived at his place when I was looking for work. and checking out apartments. I stayed at his place for a week, and then Christy came out with me, and we stayed at their place for a few days. And let me tell you something. The first couple of days, you're really conscious about those cameras. Mm-hmm. You're real careful when you use the restroom. You know, you could sort of move a door or move something so you kind of blocked the camera and you had a certain amount of privacy. I mean, you know, my friend was concerned I'd be uncomfortable with it, and I was. And also, I don't think he wanted to lose any of his subscribers. Nobody really wanted to see my junk. You know, but after a while, you'd forget, and you just kind of walk out of the, you know, you go and use the bathroom or whatever, and you'd walk out and you'd go, "Oh my God, was I just on camera?" You know, so that's as close as I came to.
You're on the CBS West Coast feed.
Yeah, exactly. They lost 80% of their subscribers, but they got them back.
So was that the inspiration for your song "Horny Couple" camera?
Yes, that was completely it. It was about them, and yeah, wow, good. I mean,
time. for people that don't know that you have the Naughty Bits album.
Yes, I have a Naughty Bits album, and it's little bits of naughtiness.
And do you and your kids sit around and listen to it?
They haven't heard any of them, you know, unless there's a cleaned up version. You know, Rugby the Cat. There's the naughty version.
Cleaned up version of any of those, is there?
Rugby the Cat. There's the verse. You know, my cat's breath stinks. He can lick his own butt. If he could do that, he could lick. You know what? If I could do that, I would not leave my home. But my cat's been neutered. He leaves it alone. But somebody, that was how it was originally written. And somebody said, "Boy, that would be a great kid song if it wasn't for that verse." And so I wrote a clean verse. You know, like, my cat has teeth, my cat has claws, he knows how to use them if you give him. It was just pretty, you know, it was playful and silly, but it was as offensive to parents. Uh-huh. And I'm glad I did, because it got published. I get royalty checks in the mail. It got put into a songbook.
Really?
Yeah, that CD was up for a first round Grammy, but it goes through like multiple rounds. But it was up for it passed the first round of Grammy consideration. Not necessarily because of my track, but there were a bunch of tracks on that album. I just had one of them, and you know, and it's won some songwriting contests. So I am glad I created a kid-friendly version of that. But yeah, the Psycho song. There's really no, you know, I'm not psycho. I'm your mailman, and I've come to bring your mail. Like, I've joked that I'm going to turn them all into clean versions. But of course, that would be ridiculous. The Psycho song really has no reason to.
Yeah.
Amanda's on there.
I actually let my kids listen to your album.
But they were teenagers when you let them.
Well, when they were done listening to it, they sure were. You want to bring a kid into adolescence quickly.
Listen, it's time we have this conversation about the birds and the bees.
Load that onto their iPad, put their headphones on, and go for a drive.
Yeah, I should call like child therapists and be like, "Hey, you know, if you could suggest this, I could get you some more business."
If we thought you had any money at all, we'd have sued you.
Well, if I recall, you bought a few copies.
We did, yeah.
So I don't know if that would have held up in court, but
probably not. One of my daughters in particular, though, just thought it was great, and she watched a lot of Family Guy.
Oh, sure,
and then started making some really bad life decisions.
Oh no!
And so I'm pretty sure it was you and Family Guy that probably, you know, derailed her. Yeah, she's back on track now, but it was kind of a rough 5 years.
I'm sure she would agree with me when I say that it was probably the parenting.
Well, yeah, for allowing her to have, like, you know, I never should have bought the thing.
I blame Family Guy entirely.
Oh, you know, and anymore, it's like you can't keep a kid from watching that.
We don't let
can't.
our kids. We've been.
Well, I mean,
very
so
careful.
the only way you could is to absolutely limit their access to the internet, to anything else, and so you have to do that till some age.
But there comes an age, you're right, where we won't be able to. I mean, my oldest turns 9 in June, and then I have a little guy who's almost 5.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be 5 in April, and then another little guy who'll be 2 in June. So, I mean, my kids I'm still able to control them and what they're exposed to. And it's hard on them because, like, my 3rd grader, he goes to school and his friends have seen all the new Transformer movies and Chucky and he's like, why can't I see these things? And I'll be honest with him. We don't lie to our kids. He'll just say, I don't want you to see some of these things. I mean, it's all pretend, but it's graphic. People die and there's blood and there's because he knows this. I'm not going to pretend that doesn't exist. We'll talk about it. And he, so far he gets it, And
I think that's the right thing to do. When our kids were little, and I joke about this, but we went 8 years without television.
Wow. Well,
and I'm trying to think of what ages they were. This was probably in about 95, something like that. The funniest part about it is the whole family went 8 years without TV. So I pretty much missed the Seinfeld years.
That was the place I just went in my mind. When you said 95, I'm thinking that's Seinfeld.
Yeah. I can still, when Seinfeld's on in syndication, I can still find an episode I haven't seen.
Well, I can find episodes I've seen, but it's been so long I don't remember what happened. Uh-huh. So I can watch the Seinfeld reruns as well. So you missed out in the 90s, buddy. No,
I know it.
We didn't have cable growing up. But the way I got around that is I'd go over to my friend's house, and he had cable. So
sure.
He also had bologna and white bread and soda.
You didn't have bologna?
My parents were super healthy, and I point this out to my wife, who I adore, and I think she's got great instincts. But I say, we can shelter our kids to a point, but there is a point where they'll figure out how to get around it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got lunch meat. We did, but we didn't have, my friend had the meat that came in the packet, that now that I'm older and I kind of know how that stuff is processed, I'm terrified of it, but there,
I heard Anthony Bourdain say there's an implied consent in eating a hot dog.
Yes, that's great. Yeah. There are things you just don't want to know, and then when you know them, you can't unknow them, and it changes the way you eat. Knowledge, man, knowledge is power. Damn it, I like to be ignorant. Ignorance is happy. You thought I was going to say bliss, but
no, I'm with you.
It's Jeremy Piven.
Is it?
Let's hug it out, bitch.
Are we good?
I guess we are. Hey, they're making an Entourage movie. I'm sorry.
Are they really?
That. Yeah.
With the same cast?
I believe so. With the guys. I think the ladies are all gone. I think they're single again. I don't know.
Huh. So. Well, that wouldn't be a surprise. That's Hollywood, isn't it?
That's Hollywood. That's right.
Yep.
So we're calling this Pull My Finger, right?
The Pull My Finger podcast. Is that right?
We give you the finger and you pull it. I don't know. Yeah, I guess so.
It works for me.
I like it.
We didn't have any kind of intro. Are we going to do that? Are we going to Are you going to do a theme song?
I might write a theme song. I worry it won't be up to snuff. I can be kind of hard on myself, but I feel like we need a theme song. You know?
Well, don't worry about snuff so much.
Yeah. Snuff films aren't any good anyway.
In fact, I wouldn't even seriously, just turn your recorder on and ad-lib a song.
That's perfect.
That's good enough.
That takes the pressure off.
One of the sayings that my kids have been using, I don't know where they picked this up. It's obviously some kind of a cultural reference, but it's sort of bothersome.
Okay,
but the phrase is good enough for who it's for.
God. Oh, that would be a horrible attitude to have out loud in the open.
Wouldn't it? When you're working on client work.
Here you go. Here you
good enough for who it's for.
Here you go, Bob. It's good enough for you.
It's not my best work, but
But for you, it'll do.
For you, yeah, because it's still better than all your competitors are doing. But I'm pretty sure that kind of a theme song for us would be just fine.
I agree. It's like my 4-year-old always says, Dad, you're always going to love the smell of your own shit.
Who said that? Your 4-year-old?
I was just kidding.
Oh.
I was waiting for the laugh. That was all.
I was more astonished.
Right. I went for shock value because you told me what your kid said, and I thought, wouldn't it be funny if my kid said something horrible, especially after I talked about how we shelter them?
But that didn't seem horrible. It seemed kind of insightful.
Oh, well, let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you a story about my little 4-year-old. This is a true story, and he blew me away. He just blew me away. So he was out in our yard, and a piece of our fence had fallen down. There was a nail sticking out, and the grass needs mowed, and he didn't see it, and he stepped on it, and the nail went through his shoe into his foot. Now, not a lot of nail, but you have to be careful about those things, tetanus and bacteria. Apparently, when a nail goes through a sneaker and punctures you, it's even worse because there's bacteria that can get in the rubber of the shoe.
Yeah.
And, my wife cleaned it off, and I called the doctor, and the doctor said, you need to come in. And we need to irrigate it, and we're probably going to need to clean it out properly, not just in the tub and hydrogen peroxide, and we're going to need to give them an antibiotic.
And social services will be by.
Yeah. So I'm driving them to, and it's after hours, and we have to drive further away to the other clinic because the nearby one, of course, can't see us. And we have an 8-something appointment. They can't get to them till 9 o'clock at night, and we don't leave that place till 10. But over the course of the hour, we're there waiting for the doctor. Doctor comes in and says, hey, I'm looking at his records, and it looks like he's had 4 tetanus shots, the initial tester shots and 3 of the boosters. She said, but he really should have had 5 by now. They should have given him a 5th on his 4th birthday. And I said, oh, geez. I said, are you sure? Because I feel like, she's like, I tell you what, go home, talk to your regular doctor. It can wait a couple of days. He's not going to get sick because he doesn't get a tetanus shot right now in this very moment. You can take a couple of days and get the shot. And she leaves. And my 4-year-old sort of grabs my face and looks at me. He goes, Dad, I think I should get the shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what? He said, Dad, it's like Daniel Tiger says. And Daniel Tiger's from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and now he's got his own little spin-off show. And he likes we let him watch PBS. And he says, you just think of a happy thing and you lie down and they give you the shot. I didn't even have to bribe him.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I called the doctor and I said, does he need any other shots? Because I'm thinking, what are the chances that he has the courage to do this now and that he'll do it? I mean, I used to hit doctors. I was terrified of needles back in the day. Now I'm a type 1 diabetic, so I'm kind of used to them. But he lays down, and he gets the shot. He goes, ow, ow, ow. And then it was over. I swear he could get a shot again. He was so brave. And I thought insightful for him to know at his age without me putting guilt on and explaining the situation. We had an adult conversation and he just quietly listened and he came to his own decision. It just blew me away. I thought this little guy's pretty amazing.
Yeah, so, I can't get my daughter to get a flu shot. She's 20.
Yeah, it was amazing, dude. It was amazing. I got him ice cream on the way home, which is no easy thing. I didn't have to bribe him, and yet I was so blown away by him. I wanted to get him something. So,
how are you? Well, you give yourself shots a lot, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Are nothing. I don't mind them so much. I got 3 flu shots this year.
What? Why would you get more than one?
Well, Safeway was giving you a 10% off coupon.
Now you're messing with me. Okay, all right. And Elliot was like, my son was like, Dad, sometimes you just got to get 3 fucking shots.
Sometimes.
Out of the mouth of babes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you got a Safeway coupon, that and free hot dogs, you just have to do it.
Mm-hmm. That's what I think. I was oozing flu vaccine.
You're like, I am immune. I'm immune to all disease. I cannot get sick.
If you want to be immune to the flu, let me just go work out and then you can lick my sweaty arm. You'll be just fine.
My wife doesn't get the flu shot. She's allergic to eggs. So
Oh, well, yeah.
she was really happy about that. She's like, I don't have to get the flu shot anymore. You know,
So what's your alternative? You just don't get a shot.
you just try not to get the flu. But I got the flu shot. I got the flu this year.
You didn't get the flu that you got the flu shot for, though.
Right. It only protects you from a certain strain.
You got sick, but you didn't get that flu.
Well, yes. My son got that flu and he tested positive for it, but he hadn't gotten the flu shot this year. And then I got we think I got what he had. I mean, I had a high fever. I was sick for multiple days. I found out later that the flu shot doesn't necessarily even protect you from that strain. It's just if you catch it, you maybe catch a more mild version of it.
What?
Isn't that bullshit?
That is.
As my 4-year-old would say, that's bullshit, Dad.
That's bullshit, Dad.
Now give me a shot.
Obamacare, I call bullshit.
Well, not in my family.
No,
I crazy liberals. So
no, that's true. Well, so one of these times on the Pull My Finger podcast, we'll have to talk politics and just see where that goes.
I think we get along talking about politics.
I do too.
I think you and I are both the kinds of people who can sort of hear somebody else's perspective and see validity to it, even if we can't agree with it. And I find you to be very consistent in your beliefs, which I admire. I don't like when people are inconsistent. I don't know if that makes sense, but in terms of the two major parties, you know, I find on both sides people are sort of idiotic.
What drives me nuts is that when they're inconsistent based on who's giving them money.
Yes, yeah, that drives me crazy. So I think you and I would find a lot of common
And
ground.
anymore, that seems to be everything.
Yeah,
And it's like the whole thing with Tesla and I don't know.
Tesla Motors.
Tesla Motors. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of states where they're not allowed to sell.
Really?
Because think about this: who in every state in the country, you think about sales tax revenue for the state government.
Oil.
Where does the bulk of sales tax revenue come from?
Oil.
No.
Gas.
New car sales.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know. I just assumed you were going to tie it to the gas.
No, it's like 20% of sales tax revenue comes from car sales. So who would not want Tesla selling cars direct to the public?
Well, the car companies.
The new
Chevy,
car dealers
Ford.
Associations.
Absolutely. I guess the reason I was going to the company, maybe it's me being from Texas, but they certainly have a lot of power here in Texas.
And you can't, Tesla has no showrooms. They cannot sell direct to the public in Texas.
Wow. No, of course not.
Because of just protectionism, and because those guys, you know, they are responsible for the bulk of sales tax revenues, blah, blah, blah. So when they say, you know, the policies and the regulations governing new car sales need to be thus, that's what the politicians cave to.
Absolutely.
And so the same thing. So it just happened. It just happened here in Arizona that they announced that Tucson was up for a big new factory that would be manufacturing batteries for Tesla. But Arizona is not a state where Tesla can sell because of the same issue we just talked about. And they just announced that they're actually going to change that and allow Tesla to sell cars here because, you know, hey, maybe we could manufacture their batteries.
That would be great for the economy. I mean,
yeah, we'll see what happens, though. You know, if Tesla decides to put that plant somewhere else, I bet they're back in the fray with, ostensibly, Adam, it's because you and I need protection. We need protection from these evil auto manufacturers. You and me. You and I need that protection. So who do we need in our corner, Adam? A new car dealer. That's who's going to protect us from the evil Ford Motor Company. is your buddy down the street that sells new Fords. Can you think of a less trustworthy company in your town than a new car dealer?
Yeah, no, I get your point. I get your point. And
so now I'm on a rant.
What irritates me, though, is, when people on one particular party who are all about, smaller government suddenly are the ones who, maybe stick up for the new car dealers.
Yeah, I'm for smaller government, except for this particular area where...
Yeah.
Where our lobbyists pay us a lot of money.
But both sides do it, and I know
that's the problem. Yeah,
that's the problem. Yeah, it's corrupt, but I also don't believe that's. I see a lot of people get frustrated with government and say, it's all messed up, and then they just throw their hands up and don't try to make it better. I mean, I do think there are some people who are trying to make things better, and some people are willing to compromise. I think you have to be willing to compromise to get anything done. I mean, it's a system of checks and balances. Well, we'll do politics on another show.
Yeah, sure.
That'll be good.
That'll rile us up.
That'll be awesome.
Well, we've been chatting for a little over an hour now.
Yeah, man. I think we've got our first episode. I'm sure everybody who's listened to it, all two of us, have loved it.
Hey, hang on. I got a sound effect for us.
Okay, I can't wait.
Awesome. Our friend Gene Backus gave me this thing.
Okay.
It's one of those, what was the company? Staples. The big easy button?
Oh, yes.
I have one of those. Let's see if the batteries are still charged.
That was easy.
There we go.
All right. If you press my button, I'm easy too.
Yeah, well, for the Pull My Finger podcast, we probably need a different sound,
Yeah, something more musical.
Uh-huh.
At a lower frequency.
All right. So where is Rockaroni and Cheese playing live? Isn't that part of a podcast? You're supposed to plug your upcoming appearances?
I think we got a gig in Kyle, Texas in May.
Nice.
I don't remember the exact date, though. I wasn't ready to plug. And where will you guys be? Where are you presenting?
I'm going to be hanging out at a coffee shop probably later this week.
Yeah.
Anybody has any questions, come by.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What a great plug. A great plug on your part and an excellent setup on my part.
Sure.
What's their... I suddenly couldn't remember the name of your website. I
don't have a website worth remembering.
But you have the blogging.
Oh, well, that's a different thing. That's legit. That's shortcutblogging.com.
But we're not going to talk about that because we talk about advertising and the fact that you can help people create.
What is probably the only relevant part about it is we can, if you want to do your own podcast, we can supply you with your podcast buddy.
Exactly.
Somebody to talk to, because that's the hardest thing is to do a podcast on your own.
This was brought to you by Shortcut. We probably
we don't even plug ourselves.
Yeah, we don't want to promote that at the end of this because people who just listen to this may be thinking, what the hell have I been listening to?
I know.
Awesome. Pull my finger.
Hey, good talking to you, Adam.
Likewise. We'll do it again soon, okay?